How's it going, guys? Today we're going to be making this sturdy as heck window cage lashing rail truck bed surfing thing. It's made out of some 2-inch square tubing, 1/8 thick. I think these diamonds are 1 inch. These are like some handicap bathroom handles or something. Though this was a lot of work, it was actually super simple, so if you have as little welding experience as I do, you can still make something like this. I hope you guys like it. Here we go. So it was way too cold outside for me to be spending 20 minutes apiece fumbling around with my lines like I usually do. So I'm just gonna do a little voiceover action here, just getting a tarp ready because I know it's gonna snow pretty soon. Just gonna flap it out, spread it out evenly. Perfect, that's so good. Almost. There you go, that's good, Eli. Good job. Here's a video of me hammering a spike into the ground to look cool, even though they could easily be pushed in by hand. Here's me hammering in another spike off camera. Here's the audio if you don't believe me. I bet you feel pretty stupid now, huh? I'm gonna use this big old piece of plywood to make sure that I got a flat surface to work on. Note how comfortably and naturally I move, not awkward at all. Now I count the cost of my next move. I'm gonna push this thing over. It's gonna be really loud, guys. Cover your ears. I got this heat-resistant fiberglass blanket to protect the plywood from sparks because I thought I was going to be able to reuse this plywood afterwards, but just walking on it made it so dirty that I can't even use it for anything. So yeah, basically this scene is pointless. But thanks for the watch time, YouTube Red Boys. Now I'm laying down the frame. I'm going to build this whole thing from the ground up as opposed to the top down because that would be floating. This is the bar that goes along the back window at the bottom. These two ones right here are the ones that go along the sides of the flatbed. Just pay a ton of attention when you're doing these welds and lining these things up because these two first welds are going to be basically what dictates whether or not this entire thing will actually go on your truck well. Just be super careful. Pay a lot of attention when you're doing this. Here I'm just preparing the edges for welding. I'm cleaning off the mill scale and the rust, and apparently if you bevel the edges on the steel that you're about to weld, it makes it easier to weld or something. I don't know, I'm trying that out. I'm a real trailblazer here. And you're gonna notice one thing about this weld. It sucks. I'm not a good welder, but it should encourage you because even though I suck, this thing still turned out really, really cool. So obviously you can do it too. Watch this, I almost hecked this up real bad. Oh no, you don't. You almost had me there for a second, huh? Not today, Zerg. Now I used a chop saw for a majority of the square tubing cuts, and I used my angle grinder for some of the finer stuff, but here I'm cutting the vertical pieces and I've got my chop saw set to a slight angle so that when I weld these vertical pieces on, it will create the trapezoid that I attach the expanded steel onto. You probably noticed that that top piece of steel is pretty different from the stuff that I've been using for all the other stuff. Somewhere along the lines while I was doing the calculations for the steel that I would need, I miscalculated. The top bar that I got from the place ended up being like 8 inches too short. You'd think I wouldn't make that mistake, having dealt with that problem personally my whole life, but let's not pretend that I have any clue what I'm doing. So that steel place was not open on weekends. I had to get the project finished before it snowed, or I wouldn't be able to do welding or whatever outside. So I had to go to the hardware store and sort of improvise. I found this steel, which is for like shelving or something. It's really, really tough stuff, not as tough as the 2-inch square tubing. But admittedly, the 2-inch square tubing is way, way, way overkill. You definitely could have gotten by with, 1 inch or 1.5 inch. So here, obviously, I've got the top bar on, completing that young trapezoid, and I've already started attaching the expanded steel onto the frame using washers and rivets. I was only actually able to do that on the top bar and the sides, though, because more miscalculations. I didn't get a wide enough piece of steel, so it couldn't reach all the way down for me to get more washers and rivets into the bottom part. So I just had to weld the little pieces directly onto the frame at the bottom. I mean, it definitely took a minute, but it's doable, and it's pretty tough, actually. Here I'm just doing a real quick job attaching some buttresses onto the thing for reinforcement. These also work as secondary handles if you want to have a couple or a few people surfing in the flatbed. And I'm going to attach 6 of these little 2-inch sections of angle steel. These are going to be what I am going to drill through and put screws through to attach everything to the truck. Then I used the chop saw to cut a 2-inch length of the square tubing. I used an angle grinder to cut through the corners of that little piece, which left me with 4 2x2 little squares that I'm going to weld onto the ends of the long pieces of square tubing to just, kind of close them off. Making a cage for the back window of my truck. Yeah. Alright, so since I obviously can't trust my welds to be airtight, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill some really small holes, or at least as small as I can, with still being able to fit the straw into the hole. I'm going to drill them right at the ends of all the pipes, and I'm going to fill it with expanding foam, tape off the hole, give it probably, 15 minutes to do its work. Then I can peel the tape off, get to work grinding off all the slag and just sanding it down and stuff, and then I can finally do the painting. It might not seem like it because the editing on this video probably makes this seem like it was a pretty quick build, but I've been working on this for, probably 3 or 4 days now. It's been a little bit frustrating because the days are starting to get dark at like 4 o'clock because it's winter, obviously, and having to work outside with these lights and whatever, it's just a really big hassle. So I've been really struggling to be productive. So definitely really glad this build is almost over. It is really cold out here. So let's finish it up. I don't know if you can really see it on the camera right now, but I sort of rushed the paint job a little bit, and I can already see it's sort of rusting in some spots already. So for the purposes of this video, I would say this build is completely finished, but after I'm done editing and everything, I probably still have to take this off and give it an actual really good paint job. Use some real automotive grade like enamels and stuff. But I think this turned out, well, it turned out a lot better than I thought it was going to. I must confess though, that wasn't the first time I put that bolt in. I've actually had this thing on here for a few days now. And last Sunday night, the first day that it snowed, me and a bunch of friends drove out to this empty parking lot and we did some drifting, and I had people standing in the flatbed holding onto the handles that I put up there. It was a fun time. It was a good fun time. I really enjoyed making this, but I am absolutely really glad that it's finished. I'm very excited to be building my next few projects indoors. That's just about all I got for today though, guys. I really appreciate you watching. Thank you for subscribing if you did. That's all I got for today. Thank you very much. Bye.